There is a hole in the sand that practically begs to be poked. Small, perfectly round, sitting alone in an otherwise smooth stretch of seafloor, as if something forgot to fill it in. Your first instinct, and honestly it is a completely reasonable one if you have never thought about it for even 1 second, is to crouch down, grab a stick, and see what happens. Maybe it's a crab, maybe it's a shell, maybe it's nothing at all. Stop. That hole is not empty, and what is inside it is not hiding from you. It is waiting. It has been waiting in that exact position, in holes exactly like that one, for 20 million years. Not sleeping, not resting, waiting for something to pass close enough to the opening. And when something does, it does not get a warning. It is simply there, and then it is not. Today, we are going to investigate that hole. Together, we're going to follow it down, look at what built it, understand what lives inside it, and figure out why something so easy to miss has earned a level of professional respect from marine biologists that your average shark does not get. And by the time we come back up, I promise you, you will never look at a smooth patch of sand the same way again, which, depending on how you feel about the ocean, may or may not be a good thing. Let's start by actually looking at the hole. Not what is inside it, not yet. Just the hole itself. It is smaller than you expect, maybe the width of a finger, perfectly circular, too clean for something that is supposedly just a gap in the sand. The rim is slightly raised, a faint ring of compressed sediment pushed outward from underneath, as if something came up from below and pressed the sand aside, and then went back down. The surrounding sand is smooth, no tracks, no debris, no trail leading in or out. Whatever made this did not arrive from the surface. It came up from below, just far enough to touch the edge of the world above, extended 5 filaments so thin you can barely see them against the current, and stopped there. That is all it needs. No movement, no sound. Just 5 threads, barely thicker than eyelashes, and a hole that is somehow more unsettling the longer you look at it, because the longer you look, the more it looks like something that is looking back. Now, what is down there? The hole belongs to a bobbit worm, scientific name Eunice aphroditois, common name sand striker. It lives in the sand. It strikes. Strategy complete. No further elaboration required. It has been doing exactly this since before the Himalayas finished forming and has not felt the need to update its approach since. The burrow is L-shaped. The long horizontal section runs deep into the substrate, out of sight and out of reach of anything above. The short vertical section runs up toward the opening, just far enough for the worm's head to reach the entrance. The walls are coated in mucus the worm produces itself, holding the tunnel together and letting it anchor to the sides with a grip researchers have described as genuinely impressive. Think about what that structure means for a moment. It is not a hiding place. It is a mechanism. Every dimension of it, the depth, the angle, the mucus lining, exists for one purpose: to make the strike possible. Everything else is secondary. Now here is the first thing that will change how you see this animal. The bobbit worm has no eyes. Not small eyes, not weak eyes, not eyes that work better in low light. No eyes. None. It navigates complete darkness, constructs a precisely engineered burrow, and detects everything happening above the sand using 5 antennae, the thin filaments you noticed extending from the opening. These are not passive sensors. They read vibration, chemical traces in the water, and changes in light reaching the entrance, all at the same time. When a fish passes within roughly 10 centimeters of those antennae, the worm knows. It knows the size, it knows the direction, it knows the speed, without seeing a single thing. Take a moment with that. This animal has no eyes, and is still a more effective predator than most things swimming freely above it in full daylight. Your stick, by the way, would have been detected immediately, and then it strikes. I want you to understand what fast actually means here. Not fast the way something looks fast in a nature documentary with ominous music. Fast in the way that when researchers first captured it on high-speed footage, the reaction was less scientific excitement and more of very quiet, very sincere, "Oh." The bobbit worm erupts from its burrow in a fraction of a second. The jaws, which open outward in a motion called eversion, create a strike surface wider than the worm's resting body diameter. The prey is grabbed, the worm contracts, and whatever was swimming above the sand a moment ago is gone. Not injured, not stunned, gone. pulled under the surface and into the burrow before the fish surrounding it have had time to register that anything happened. Which, if you have ever wondered what it looks like when something is erased from a scene, is your answer. The worm does not need the prey to fit, it needs it to disappear below the surface. The rest is handled in the dark, underground, where the details are perhaps best left unexamined. Now we need to talk about the name, because once you know where the name came from, you will never forget it. The Bobbit Worm is named after Lorena Bobbit, because the worm's jaws can bisect prey. Not tear, not crush, bisect, in a single motion. Someone in taxonomy thought that was the right reference. The jaws themselves are made of sclerotized protein, hardened biological material similar to insect exoskeleton. Under a microscope, they look less like something that evolved and more like something designed. Curved, serrated, capable of closing with force that remains, to this day, disproportionate to what the worm's body mass should allow. Now here is the part nobody expects. After everything I just described, the ambush, the bisecting jaws, the prey dragged alive into the dark, you would assume this animal is a disruption, something the reef tolerates or works around. It does not work around it. The reef is built around it. The fish that live above an active bobbit worm burrow are not the unlucky ones. They are the survivors of something that has been applying pressure to this ecosystem for 20 million years. What remains are the fish that learned, generation by generation, to be exactly alert enough. Most people who have ever snorkeled or dived over a reef have passed directly above one of these holes without knowing it, without knowing that something below the sand registered their shadow, measured their movement, and decided in a fraction of a second that they were too large to be worth the effort. You were assessed. You were found uninteresting. You moved on, entirely unaware. The reef has known about this hole for longer than our species has existed. You just found out. Here is the part of this story that most people never reach. And it is, I would argue, the most interesting part of all. The bobbit worm is not invisible by accident. The camouflage is structural. The worm's body is covered in bristles, and those bristles are iridescent. The worm's surface shifts through color, the way oil shifts on wet pavement, reflecting the exact same scattered spectrum as sunlight moving through water above sandy ground. From above, looking down, you are not looking at a worm. You are looking at the water itself. It does not blend in. It disappears into a physical property of the environment. Now, do not touch it. Here is the specific reason, since apparently stop was not enough for some of you. Those bristles, the same iridescent structures responsible for the camouflage, they are not decorative. They are sharp, hollow, and capable of delivering a chemical irritant directly into skin on contact. Divers who have made contact with bobbit worm bristles report a burning sensation. The bristles break off inside the skin and continue their work independently of the worm. The worm will not chase you. The moment anything larger than prey registers above the burrow, it retreats into the L-shaped tunnel below, where nothing above the surface can follow. But if your hand enters striking range and the worm fires before it has processed your size, the resulting experience will explain, with more efficiency than this video ever could, why marine biologists approach bobbit worm burrows with the specific energy of someone who has read the full report. There is one more thing inside this story, and it is the oldest part. Researchers studying Miocene rock formations in northeast Taiwan identified a fossilized burrow. The burrow was 20 million years old. 20 million years. While the continents were still settling into the positions we recognize on maps today, while the ancestors of every large land animal you have ever seen were still working out the details, something below the seafloor was already doing exactly this. The hole you almost poked a stick into has been in the sand, in one form or another, since before the world looked anything like the world you recognize. Let that settle for a moment. Everything above the surface has changed, and below the sand, something stayed perfectly still, waiting with a patience that only makes sense when you understand that the strategy has not needed a single revision in 20 million years. If it works, you do not change it. The bobbit worm has apparently read that particular memo. So what do you actually do the next time you see that hole in the sand? Look at it. Really look at it. Look at it the way you look at something that has been there longer than your species has existed, that has survived every change the ocean has thrown at it, that is sitting right now in that opening, and be precisely, devastatingly ready. Do not crouch down. Do not grab a stick. Do not reach toward it. Just watch it. Keep your hands where they are, and when you walk away, you will know something about that patch of sand that almost nobody else passing over it will ever know. That the sand you are standing on right now, wherever you are near the ocean, is not empty. It has never been empty. Things below the surface that have been waiting in the dark since before your species existed, that will keep waiting long after it is gone, that do not know you are there and would not care if they did. The ocean floor is not a floor. It is a ceiling. Have you ever seen a bobbit worm strike on video and felt your stomach drop before you fully understood what you were watching? Tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. And if today was the day the ocean floor stopped looking empty to you, then something just shifted. That shift is what this channel is for. I will see you in the next one.